Awesome, 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 you guys. We are in the astrology class. This is part two, which is the story that the players tell. And it's all about kind of how they communicate with each other. And so I'm really excited to bring this information to you. We definitely heavily will be looking at the aspects. We'll hit three of the aspects today. We'll review the trine aspect. We will go into the opposition aspect, and we will also look at the square aspect, leaving conjunct and sextile to the next. Okay, leaving square and sextile to next week. And so last week we did go through the trines, showing you that trines are in the same element. So you might have a fire trine, or you might have an earth trine, or you might have um, a water trine or an air trine. And you don't have to, I'll just clarify this, you don't have to have a planet in all three of the signs, elemental signs, in order to be a trine. It can be two of them. It can be two of them. And maybe I should get into the slides and we'll take a look. Because otherwise, this is all up in the air. It's all up in the air. So let's go ahead and jump into the information. This is Astrology with Granddaughter Crow. This is part two and the second class in part two. So let's take a look here. So aspects, the word aspects is basically talking about how the planets communicate with each other. It's like, are they sitting across the table from each other? Are they, in the same sign? Are they, or in similar elements? Or are they, all of it has to do with the communication. And what I want to say is that this is actually mathematical. So it's basically when you look at a chart, a circle is 360 degrees. So you've got the full circle. When you have a trine, they're 45 degrees apart. That's it. It's a 45-degree angle. Triangles are made out of 45-degree angles. And so if you have two planets that are around 45 degrees apart, they are going to be in the same, not the same sign, but the same element. So both Aries and Leo or Sag, or maybe it's Capricorn and Taurus or Virgo. The earth elements and the water elements, Cancer and Scorpio and Pisces. If two planets land in the same sign, 45 degrees apart, there is an agreement. That's how they communicate. They communicate clearly because they are in the same element. But if you have an opposition, we'll talk about that today. It literally means planets that are 180 degrees apart or something that is on the opposite side of your chart. And what does that mean? And then we have the squares. Squares we'll talk about today, but basically what it means is that a square is 90 degrees. If you think about squares, they have a 90-degree angle. And so with a square, you will have planets that are 90 degrees apart within your chart. And what does that mean? And that's what we'll be getting into. So that's where you get those words from. It's actually very, what do you call it? Geometry. So we're going to go through, once again, we did this last time, communication of the trines, but I wanted to dig a little bit deeper as we're going into the aspects. Okay, so the communication, the trine, this is, the 40 or 120 degrees or 45 degrees. So basically what we have here is planet talking to planets. So planets are connecting with planets, and what they're doing is figuring out whether they're in the same sign or different signs. Are they in the same one, and that's a good or a same element, or if they're in different ones. Planets that are in the same sign element, trines are always planets that are in the same sign element. Trines are always planets that are in the same sign element, earth, air, fire, water. Then this is the definition, or the meaning behind this would be that they're easy to understand. So if you are an earth sign, it's easy for you to understand quickly where other earth signs are coming from. If you are an air sign, it's easy to understand where other air signs are coming from. If you're a water sign, it's easier to understand where other water signs are coming from. And if you're a fire sign, it's easy for you to understand another fire sign. So it really shows what one could call a talent within your chart. There is a trine. So if you think about this as a triangle, well, we'll take a look at it. Give me just a second here. Sometimes I get a little ahead of myself and I'm like, slow down, slow your roll, Granddaughter Crow. These are 120 degrees apart, meaning that there's a 45-degree angle, I guess I should say that, but it equals 120 degrees apart. So it's 45-degree angle, but they equal 120 degrees apart. So just wanted to say that twice because I said it wrong the first time. This one is a slide that we looked at last week. These are the trines. The first house, Aries, fire sign, Mars, self, Leo, fire sign, the sun, house of creativity, Sagittarius, fire sign, Jupiter, mental expansion. Then here's all of the earth signs: Taurus, Venus, stuff, Virgo, Venus and Mercury, day-to-day activity, Capricorn, 10th house, Capricorn, Saturn, career. And so and then you go into the Gemini, you've got the third house, Mercury, Gemini, air sign, education, seventh house, Libra, Venus, air sign, relationship, 11th house, Aquarius, air sign, Uranus, friendship. And then, of course, you have, I think I went through all, no, oh, Cancer, fourth house, Cancer, the moon, water sign, eighth house, water sign, Pluto. And I'm going to show you this in that circle coming up in a second. And this is water signs. And then the 12th house, Pisces, water sign. And so you can look at it this way if you like to look at matrix and lists, or if you like to look at more pictures, this is the way to look at it. This is the same exact information that I just shared. But here's where we see the trine. Here's the fire trine, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, triangle with the 45-degree angle, yet these are 120 degrees apart. And so you have the fire trine, which is that active, trine. If somebody has Aries, if somebody has a planet in Aries and another planet in Leo, they have a fire trine. If somebody has a planet in Sagittarius and a planet in Leo, they have a fire trine. If somebody has a planet in Sagittarius and then they have another planet in Aries, they have a fire trine. So, and then some people have the Grand Master trine where they actually have a planet in Aries, a planet in Leo, and a planet in Sagittarius. All three planets, they align to make this triangle, which is like the grand poobah of fire, which means that they really move, they know how to get things done in this world. Secondly, we've got the Earth trine. So if somebody has a planet in Taurus and Virgo, they have an Earth trine. Virgo and Capricorn, they have an Earth trine. Capricorn and Taurus, they have an Earth trine. These are the manifestors. These are the ones that are actually going to finish the projects. They're going to get things done. They're about manifestation. Again, Again, they're 120 degrees apart. These are planets that are in these signs. The Geminis, then to the Libra, to the Aquarius, the air trine. If somebody has a planet in Gemini and a planet in Libra, they have an air trine. A planet in Libra, a planet in Aquarius, they have an air trine. A planet in Aquarius, a planet in Gemini, they have an air trine. And if they have the grand poobah, you know that this is a really highly intelligent thinker, right? And then you've got the water signs. They have a planet in Cancer, like my sun is in Cancer, and something in Scorpio. My rising is in Scorpio. So I have a water trine, which makes me even more liquid psychic, right? Emotional type thing. Anything, if you have a planet in Cancer and Scorpio, 120 degrees apart. They will always be 120 degrees apart. So if you have a planet in Cancer and in Scorpio, they are 120 degrees thereabout. And you have a water trine, Scorpio and Pisces, water trine, Pisces and Cancer, water trine. So it's planets that are in the same element. So basically, when I'm looking at this, we are looking at everyone is at home here. This is the one that I want to like really sear into our minds. But in all actuality, when you run a natal chart, you're going to have scatters of planets and clusters and all of that. And so when you start, first look at the planet and then look to see what sign it's in, and then look to see if it's in a fire sign. Are there other planets that are in a fire sign? If so, you've got yourself a trine. Same thing, same thing, same thing. So here's the fun part. Trines are very, very beautiful because they are in the same element. A lot of people say that if you have a trine, you have a talent. You can superimpose that word, you have a talent in there. So I thought that I would dig a little deeper with you guys today to kind of give you an understanding of how you should interpret the trines. So all you do, these are just the personal planets, the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. So if you have a sun and it's trine your moon, you have a talent between the head and the heart. They're in alignment. Your head understands your heart. They're both in the same element. If you have, you will never see the sun trine Mercury. Why? Because the sun can't be that far away from Mercury. Mercury follows that sunlight around. Maybe it might be, it'll usually be in the same sign, but it might be a sign after or sign before, but that's not enough space to have 120 degrees. So you're not going to find, if somebody says, oh, my sun and Mercury are trine, womp womp, they don't know what they're talking about because the sun and Mercury follow really close. So if you have the sun trine the planet Venus, so they're in the same element, whether it's fire, earth, air, water. This means like the sun is kind of what you have in your head. It's where you shine the brightest, if you remember the planetary. And then Venus. Venus is where you find beauty, how you love, how you want to receive love, what you find attractive. So this is a talent between what you're thinking and your attractions. There's no problem. They're communicating because they're in the same element, either earth, air, fire, or water. If you have sun trine Mars, basically you've got an agreement between, hey, my head and where I shine the brightest and how I execute and assert myself are in the same element, whether it's earth, air, fire, water. It's really easy flow. There's a talent. They know how to express themselves. And so these are those. The moon. So the moon trines. Here's the interesting thing. I could have put the sun and all of those and all of that in here, the sun, but we already have the sun and moon trine up here. So now we just have to look at the moon trine. If you want to know what the moon trine sun is, look up here. Otherwise, what is the moon and Mercury trine? Think about the moon being heartfelt, emotions. It rules Cancer. In the fourth house is where it's at home. It's the cardinal, water sign. So it's all, I like to say it's the heart. It's how you feel, how you express your emotions. So, and then Mercury is the planet of communication. So hence, Moon trine Mercury would be heartfelt communication. It's an easy way. They know how to emotionally express themselves. They're not tripping over their words. They know how to write poetry, right? Moon trine Venus, and Moon being heartfelt, and Venus being attraction, and they being in the same element, either earth, air, fire, or water, shows that this would be a person who likes to express their heart through their attraction, or maybe even write poems to their love. They're very, especially if they have all of those in the same, but they want to express their feelings to their love. They're not going to trip up. They're not going to be emotionally stunted. Moon trine Mars. These are the people that have their moon, their heart, aligned in the same element as how they assert themselves. So basically, they don't sit back and go, well, I was thinking about it and I think I'm going to do something about this. I think I'm going to get mad or I think I'm going to say something. No, if their moon is trine Mars, they're just going to let you have it if their emotions are up. They're just going to be like, you know what? I don't appreciate that. I'm going to assert myself and or assert themselves within a certain project, heartfelt assertion. There's no head thing. It's just there it is. So then let's take another look. So it's kind of fun because once you get to know all of these players, now you're just watching patterns and speaking astrology. So now, Mercury, if you want to know Mercury trine the sun, it's not happening. If you want to know Mercury trine the moon, you look up here. So the only two things that are left to explain about Mercury is a Mercury trine Venus. Think about it, communication, and Venus is going to be that what they find attractive. So they are going to talk about what they find attractive. They know how to articulate. They also are very good at articulating how they feel. Mercury trine Mars, being in the same element, earth, air, fire, or water, Mercury trine Mars is going to be a very direct communication. They're not going to pull punches when they say something to you. Communication, Mercury, Mars, let's get it done. Very direct. And the only thing we have left, Venus, here's the Venus trine the sun right here. And here is Venus trine the moon, and here's Venus trine Mercury. So all we have left is Venus trine Mars, which, if you think about Venus, it's what you find beautiful, what is attractive, and then Mars is the assertion. So this is going to be somebody who is very passionate because of that Venus and the Mars assertion. They're not going to hold back if they have a trine between these two planets. So those are the trines. Once again, they are very, they speak the same language. They speak earth or air or fire or water. And then you can dig deeper to figure out what planets and then what sign are they trine. And then you can implement it. Go, oh yeah, this is the planet and this is the other planet. What do these two planets represent? Let's go back to our notes or recall from our memory. And then what element? Okay, let's go from our notes or recall from our memory what that means. And that's when you start building the story. I'm really fast at reading charts because I've read them for decades. But one thing I will tell you, slow, slow, slow and steady wins the race. Um, just take one foot in front of the other and go, okay, when you look at a chart, go, okay, what's the first thing I want to look at? I want to look at what sign is their five personal planets? Their sun, their moon, their Mercury, Venus, and Mars. What sign is it in? And so that's the personality. And what house is it in? And that's where it goes. And you look at, is there a trine? Is there a trine between planetary trines? And if you find that, just start writing it down. Okay, the sun is trine, Mars. Now, this means everything I know about the sun, where you shine the brightest, your head knowledge. Yeah, and that they're in this sign in this house. You make your statement, and then you go, and it communicates in a talented way, easy flow through with the other planet that it's trine, and you just slow it down. Maybe it's trine Mars. Okay, Mars. This is where we assert ourselves. This is the god of war. Okay, it's trine. It's in the same element, but this one is in a different sign. Okay, and what does that sign mean? Okay, and then where is the placement? And then how do you think that these two communicate? It really can look very complicated, but it really is about slowly applying the verbiage and your knowledge about the signs and the planets and the houses to how they communicate. And when they communicate in a trine, there's a talent. So let's move on because they're not all about the talent. Okay, so let's move on to communication. Opposition. This literally is opposition. This is the symbol for when something is in opposition. If you really think about it, all you're doing is this planet is exactly directly, opposite of this planet. So it's pretty easy to remember trine is a triangle, and opposition is literally, oh, here's a planet that's directly opposite the other one. That's how I remember that. Again, when we're talking about aspects, we're only talking about planets talking to planets, and how they communicate is through the sign. So in opposition, if you have a C in opposition within a chart, you're looking at planets in opposite signs. And we're going to roll through each of those too. So it comes to the forefront of your mind. And in here, it's not the easy flow through talent. An opposition actually is this idea that opposites attract, but they also may challenge each other because you're checking to see, oh, I'm getting to know myself more because you're opposite of me, and you're getting to know yourself more because you're opposite. So it's always considering the other end of the spectrum when you are looking at an opposition. So if you have an opposition, you are really balancing those two different opposite signs out. And it's really healthy, but it's not always easy because they have to take time. So here we go. Once again, this is the same chart that I put, except for I added a couple of things to help us understand a little bit more. So the one that I said before, it was, here's the house, here's the sign, here's the planet, and here's the meaning of the house. And then I decided to go ahead and throw on the elements, the qualities, and male or female. Remember the elements in order: fire, earth, air, water, fire, earth, air, water, fire, earth, air, water. The qualities in order: cardinal, fixed, mutable, cardinal, fixed, mutable, cardinal, fixed, mutable, cardinal, fixed, mutable. Masculine, feminine, always alternating. Masculine, feminine, all the way down. But this is the dynamic. If you want, if I haven't sent you this, just tell me and I'll send it to you, because it just kind of clarifies, since we're talking about oppositions. So oppositions, it will be one of six. You will have one of six different kinds of oppositions. You will have the Aries Libra opposition. They are exactly 6 signs apart. They are 180 degrees different in that chart that is 360 degrees. And they will be fire and air. Fire and air. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Here, the fire, Aries, first house, Mars, the self, is opposite here, the seventh house, Libra energy, air sign, Venus, relationships. Wait a second. Remember when we were talking about the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere? Even though these are opposite signs, they actually have something very in common: the self versus relationships. Libra needs to understand the self in order to understand relationships. Aries needs to understand relationships in order to understand the self. So they have this familiarity. There is an opposite. So if you find the Aries Libra opposition, you will find somebody who is learning about themselves through connection, or somebody who is learning connection to reveal about themselves. So it's just the north side, the inside, me versus me versus the other. Or I should say, and. So now let's take a look. Okay, so now we have the next two: Taurus, Venus, the house of stuff, Earth, fixed sign, feminine. Okay, 6 planets later, the opposite of Taurus is Scorpio, Pluto, Mars, life, death, rebirth, or reincarnation, water, earth, water. Got it. Okay. Fixed. Oh, they're both fixed. Yes. Oppositions will always be in the same quality. That'll sink in. Oh, they're both feminine. Oh, you mean Aries and Libra were both masculine, cardinal, fire, air, and the Taurus Scorpio is more of an earth, water, both fixed. So they have a commonality, to a lot of commonalities. But if you combined earth and water, sometimes you get the beach and sometimes you get mud. Just saying. So now you've got it. This is the same information, just looking at it from across the chart. Remember, the northern is Venus. This is my stuff, the house, Horus, Venus, earth sign stuff. Me inside my house. Here is me beyond my stuff. So there is a relationship between the Taurus and the Scorpio energy, or the second and eighth house. It's more like, this is my stuff here in an earth way, and my opposite wants to look at spirituality from a non-earth way. Oh, so this is another type of opposition, the Scorpio-Taurus opposition. And it is, again, it's earth versus water, the beach or mud pit, air versus, or fire versus air. They could warm you up or blow you up, that combination, right? So then we're going to go down to the next one. So you will have the Gemini Sagittarius opposition. Again, there are only 6 different types of oppositions, and it is because there's 12 signs. And so, cut it in half, you've got it. So now you have the Gemini Mercury, primary education. It's an air sign. It's mutable and it's masculine. It's 180 degrees away from Sagittarius, Jupiter, mental expansion. Oh, wait a second. Primary versus mental expansion. Okay. Oh, here we go again. Air and fire. Air and fire. That's just like up here, Aries and Libra, fire and air. Now you have air and fire. So you will always have air and fire, fire and air and fire, fire and air when you have an opposition. Or you will have earth and water, water and earth and water, water and earth. You will never find an air and water opposition. Can't happen. Not happening. So here we go. We've got the Gemini in the air and the fire once again. They are both mutable. They're both those expansive things. So their qualities of the oppositions always have the same qualities. They both are starters or fixed or mutable. And they're both in the same either masculine and or feminine energy. See, masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine. It's kind of funny because what I find so funny about this is because it sounds so deep, but really all we're doing is looking for patterns and understanding what those patterns mean. And that's very maybe oversimplification, but once you understand that that's all you're doing, then you realize you don't have to memorize the whole book. You just need to understand the players and how they communicate and write your own energetic book around what you are intuitively picking up with it as well. So, yep, now here, let's take a look at this one. Here is our third house opposite the ninth house. We've got the Gemini air, and that's inside, and that's education, primary education. And then you have, oh, Sagittarius, mental expansion. Oh, this is the outside education, the bigger. So we do have something in common, even though, once again, the Gemini Sagittarius is going to be air and fire, just like the Aries and the Libra, air and fire. But they make sense. So if somebody has it, this one, then they'll be like, they understand because they're both mutable signs, and but they don't understand because they're fire and air, but they do know that they have to have a balance in order to have a warm fire, but they might ignite each other once in a while because you got to test the boundaries, right? So these are there too. Again, here is the um, third kind of opposition. Now let's look at the fourth type of opposition. You have the Cancer and Capricorn opposition. They understand each other through certain things, but they come at it from different ways. So the Cancer, the moon, the fourth house, you're at home, water sign, cardinal, feminine. And down here you have Capricorn, Sagittarius, career, earth sign. Once again, water and earth, air and fire, water and earth, air and fire. Those are your oppositions. Those are the only two kinds you can have. But now these are both cardinal. So, oh, Cancers and Capricorns understand each other because we both bring something to the table. We both start something and we're both feminine. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Well, here we go. Cancer, water, Capricorn, earth. Oh, home and career. Duh. Inside, outside, home and career. So they understand each other because they have to go to work at a career for the purpose of sustaining the home. But they need to reflect on each other. It's like, am I working for my home or am I living for my career? There's that kind of an interesting dynamic. Inside, outside, opposition. Now, this makes a lot more sense. This little symbol makes a lot more sense because they're opposed. The fifth kind of opposition, remember there's only 6 oppositions because there's only 12 signs. And so the fifth is the Leo, the sun, the house of creativity, again with the fire, again with the fixed, again with that masculine. They are 180 degrees or the opposite of, 6 signs apart from the 11th house. Aquarius, Uranus, friendship, air, again with the air and fire, GDC. Yes, again with the air and fire, but they're both in fixed qualities. So they understand each other and they're both masculine. So they understand each other. So here we go. Here's their opposition right here. Again, that fire, creativity. I want to do something in my basement or make something in my garage or paint something. I'm expressing energy on the inside that I want to create something. And then Uranus is like, yeah, but let's create something together. Let's talk together. Let's go out and build friendships together. Let's be creative together. So again, that is the fifth type of opposition, will be Aquarius, Leo, Leo, Aquarius. They understand each other because they're both fixed. They understand each other because they're both masculine. but sometimes they might burn. This one might irritate the Leo, and this Leo burns up, and so they're very similar to, the Aries and Libra and the Gemini and Sag being fire and air, but these guys are fixed. So they're not just going to let it go like the Aries and Libra energy. They're just going to be like, we're done being mad. They're going to say, oh no, we've got a beef. We've got a beef, and I need to understand myself through understanding you, and you need to understand yourself through understanding me. And either we're going to be best friends because opposites attract, or we're going to repel each other. I've seen both. I've seen both. Again, with oppositions, it's all about learning who you are because you are reflecting your opposite. You learn from understanding the opposition. You learn more about the opposition and you learn more about yourself. So it's not really easy. There's a learning curve here. There's a growth pressure, but there's also a very beautiful balance. There's a beautiful balance. Hey, so let's take a look here, moving forward. And now here's the sixth and final opposition. Virgo, sixth house, Mercury, day-to-day activity, health and well-being, earth sign, mutable, feminine, 180 degrees or exactly six signs apart from Pisces. Pisces, Neptune, spirituality and dreams. Oh, again, with the earth and water GDC, the beach or the mud. Yep, the beach or the mud. But they're both mutable signs. So they have an understanding of each other and they're both feminine. So let's just take a quick look at that. Finally, to wrap it up, oh, well, it makes sense. Here's the Virgo earth sign over here in the sixth house. What would be opposite? Well, the 12th house. Oh, well, this person is looking at day-to-day health and well-being, and this one is more focused on what's on the beyond. Neptune, dreams, spirituality. So they can either complement each other or argue. So once again, I will say to you, there are only 6 different oppositions. You have we'll start with Aries and Libra. You have the Gemini and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, you have those. These are interesting because I'll side note you just for a second. Remember in the first class when we talked about the North and South node? They will always be in opposition. The North and South node are always the aspect is always opposite. So if somebody comes up to you and says, I have my North Node in Capricorn, you would be correct to understand that their South Node is in Cancer. Oh, I have my North Node in Pisces. You would be correct to understand that their North Node is in Virgo. So there's only 6 of them. And so when you're looking at nodes, and like again, I said, this is a side note, there's only going to be 6 different kinds, the different 6 aspects. There will be 12 because maybe you have a Capricorn, Cancer, North and South, but maybe the Capricorn is the South and the Cancer is the North, which will have a different meaning than Cancer's Capricorn. My blood sugar is running low, people. I should have brought a Snickers bar. Anyway, so oppositions, they're not as hard as you'd think. And now you can remember this sign forever. It just really means one planet is exactly opposite from the other planet. And then you check out what sign each of them are in, and you understand that they have a little bit of friction there, but they have the opportunity to grow through that reflection of their opposite. So I am going to go into this just with the personal planets to kind of give us some language around personal planets and opposition. Okay, apply the sun. Granddaughter Crow says it's the head, it's where you shine the brightest. Your words around the sun. If the sun is opposite the moon, that means that the head and the heart have to do a balancing act. It's their head and their heart has to, like, maybe their head says, "Oh, well, let's go out." And their heart says, "No, I want to stay home." Vice versa in any situation, they have to strike a head-heart balance. So when you see somebody with this, understand that they're constantly figuring out, should I trust my head or my heart? How can I find the balance between the two? Again, you will never have the sun opposition Mercury. They are only conjunct, but we'll go there next week. Because the Mercury tracks the sun and is usually in the same sign or maybe one sign off, so they can't be opposed. The sun and Venus, oh, opposition. So the sun, the head, and their attraction. So maybe they struggle a little bit around, my head tells me I should be attracted to this, but I'm attracted to that. And they have to find their balance. There's a little bit of a opportunity to grow. The sun and Mars. Oh, here's those people who if the sun opposite their Mars and the sun is the head and the Mars is assertion, these are the people that you'll find that are like, I should have told him this. No, no, no. Did I do that? Oh, I should have thought about it more. They struggle. There's not an easy flow. I think a good way to talk about opposition is to pause and take a moment to think about the other side of the coin. And in that pause, it isn't an easy flow through, but it is the opportunity to grow. That's the best way to understand it. All right, so then we have the moon. Oh, yeah, so moon opposition, moon and Mercury. So the moon is your heart and Mercury is your communication, but they're in opposition. Oh, should I have said that? Did I say too much? Did I say I love you before I should have? Did I yell at this person? Maybe I shouldn't tell people how I feel. They have to check themselves before they wreck themselves. Moon and Venus. Oh, well, here we go with the moon and Venus. Well, they're opposite. So there's a second guessing, there's a pause, but they actually can be a very developed type of an individual because depending on how old, I think when you're young, your oppositions strike hard. When you get older, you're just like, oh, yeah, that's the other side of the coin. And you learn and grow from the other. So the moon and Venus, oh, should I be attracted to this person? I am attracted to them, but am I attracted to them because they're so sweet or because they, a water sign, or is it because they have enough money to take care of me, the earth sign? There's an opposition. So the moon and Mars opposition, once again, they're just like, should I have said that? Should I have said this? I want to talk about my heart, but I keep tripping over and maybe, I even cry when I get mad. Yeah, moon opposite Mars, those are the ones that cry when they get mad. Mercury opposition, so Mercury Venus opposition, there's a balancing act between what you're attracted to and how you communicate what that is. Mercury Mars, that is Mercury, planet of communication, Mars assertion. There's a balancing act around maybe even like, I'm just going to say it. And then you go home and go, oh, I said that backwards. Maybe I need to apologize. There's balancing act. Venus and Mars, passionate assertion, balancing act. They have to find the balance between being too little or too much, so to speak. So those are oppositions. I know that we are getting close to the time, but I'll show you that now that we know oppositions, it's going to be very easy to roll through squares. Same thing, oppositions. Now we're going to go into the square. Oh, the square. Thank God the symbol of a square is actually a square. So these are planets that talk to planets, planets that are in the same quality. Either they're both cardinal, they're both fixed, or they're both mutable. These are going to be 90 degrees apart, 90 degrees apart. These have the most tension. You thought oppositions had tension? At least they had balance because of the opposition. These guys, when you find a square in somebody's chart or in your chart, you're just like, oh, is that why I struggle with it so much? Is that why I struggle with it so much? So you've got them here. Let's take a look. Same chart that we just put up, same coloring, but now it reveals a different pattern. Aries to Cancer, Cancer to Libra, Libra to Capricorn are squares in the cardinal signs of fire, water, air, and earth, masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine. So we've got the cardinals here, and all four of them showed up. Cardinal fire, cardinal water, cardinal air, cardinal earth. Damn it. You know, this is why a square is so hard, because it causes you to grow. You have to take action. You have to move. If you are a cardinal sign and the fixed sign shows up, you're like, oh shit, now I got to complete the project. Now I have to stabilize the project. If you're a fixed sign and the mutable, sign shows up and it's just like, oh no, wait, I said that backwards. Scratch, erase. If you are I had it right. I had it right. Let me just put the slide back up so that you guys so I don't get confused with my words. So yeah, all cardinal, but they're all fire, water, earth, and air. So they all want to, here we go. They all want to start something. All the cardinals want to start something, but Aries wants to start it in an action way. Water wants to start it in an emotional way. Libra wants to start it through conversation, and Capricorn wants to start it by let's just like start collecting the items for the project. So they don't see eye to eye, even though they all want to start it. And you have the masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine. Now let's go to the next one, the fixed ones. We have the Taurus. Remember, it was like Taurus, Scorpio. Yay, that's the opposition. Now let's put the square in there. So now you've got Taurus energy, and it's earth, and it's fixed, and it's feminine. And 90 degrees later, you have the Leo energy, and it's fire, and it's fixed, and it's masculine. And then you have the Scorpio energy, and it is water, and it is fixed, and it is feminine. And then you have the Aquarius energy, and that's air, and it's fixed, and it's masculine. So they all want to stabilize through the quality of being fixed signs. But Taurus wants to stabilize it in a grounded, like, well, let's just secure it to the earth. Let's do something tangible. Leo wants to stabilize it by saying, no, this is how we keep the music going. This is how we keep the fire going. Scorpio wants to stabilize it by saying, well, let's take a look at what's on the undercurrent of all of these emotions that we're feeling. And the Aquarius wants to stabilize the conversation through communication. Let's just keep talking about it. So they're all trying to do the same thing from different elements, and they can get on each other's nerves, or they can learn how to work together. But if you find a square in a chart, it's hard. Geminis, square Virgo, square Sagittarius, square Pisces. Here we have the mutable signs. We have the mutable signs. And so Gemini is an air sign, mutable, masculine, squares Virgo, Mercury. So there's a nice little planetary thing there. So that might be a little easier. But then we're looking at health and earth and air. Damn it, earth and air. What is that? Well, they are kind of similar. The air flows like this. No, they're not, because the air would blow the earth. Or think about how those two elements work or don't work together, but they're both mutable. So they're both in it to grow it, to change it, to make it bigger, but they're doing it from two different ways. So Geminis and Virgos, a lot of commonality, and there's also a lot of square challenge. Virgo, Sagittarius, again, we've got that mental expansion, the fire, again, mutable, 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 masculine, feminine, masculine. And then they are square with Pisces, Neptune, spirituality, water, mutable, feminine. So we have cardinals, squares, fixed squares, mutable squares. So there's a few different types of squares, but Aries to Cancer is a square, but Aries to Libra is not a square. That's an opposition. But if you go Capricorn to Aries, that's a square. So anything that's 90 degrees apart, anything that's 90 degrees apart, let's look at on our pretty little thing. They're either in cardinal, fixed, or mutable. The squares. Oh, here we go. A square. By God, that makes sense. Oh, here's the fixed square. It literally is a square. So now you see 90 degrees apart right here, 90 degrees apart right here, 90 degrees apart right here, 90 degrees apart right here is a square. Damn it, here is that a mutable square, that mutable square. Huh. So those are the squares. They're here to they see things, but they have the same goal in mind, but they approach it from four different elements. So they get on each other's nerves. So personal planet squares, the sun square the moon, tension between the head and heart. Mercury square the sun. It's not going to happen. They're too close together. Venus, the sun square Venus, tension between your head and what you're actually attracted to. I shouldn't be attracted to this person. They don't make enough money, and my head tells me I need to be with somebody that makes a lot of money. Square, the sun and Mars square, tension between, once again, second guessing themselves. I know I want to cardinal this. I know I want to fix this. I know I want to mutable this, but I'm coming at it from two different elements. Should I do it emotionally or should I just go punch the mother? So it's that. Now, the moon squares are really difficult because the moon is very liquid and the moon likes to just not be squared anything. But when the moon squares Mercury, there's tension between how much should I say? I know what I want to say, but how do I say it? When the moon squares Venus, I know what I want to do. I want to start this relationship. I want to fix this relationship. I want to grow this relationship. But should I do it in what way? Should I buy them flowers or should I just write them a poem or do I need to go out there and work and show them like what's my approach? Moon and the Mars. Again, there's tension between heartfelt assertion, like, oh man, they pissed my emotions off, but I have a Moon Mars square, so I don't know how I'm supposed to deal with this. Should I deal with it from a Gemini way, or should I deal with it from, the Virgo way? The squares. That's how you read them. Mercury squares. Mercury squares Venus. There's tension on how to talk about if I'm attracted. If you have a partner who has this, give them some grace. It's not because they don't want to tell you. It's because they don't know how, and they're fussing. They're fussing in their head. Mercury squares Mars. It's there's tension between what they should say. They know what they want to say, but they don't know how to say it. Should I say it fiery, earth, air, water, Venus, Mars square, tension between passion and assertion. So I know what I want to happen, but I don't know how to make it happen from earth, air, fire, or water. So these are our squares. They're not fun. We're almost to the top of the hour. We're almost to the bottom of the class. So when you look at a chart, this is where you can find them. Here are your squares right here. And here you've got the moon square Saturn. Oh no. Feelings, intense feelings about the square. Where is that? Oh, let's see here. The moon is square Saturn. Oh, this one's pink and this line is pink. Okay, now I'm understanding what Astro Cafe is doing. These are squared. There is tension there between the moon and how this person feels and Saturn, old father time, what they're supposed to be doing. You can always find it. And you can say, oh, here, look at Venus is squared Saturn. Oh, again with the Saturn and Venus, it's squared. Oh, okay, here's Venus over here. They're also squared. There's tension there. So these little pink ones, or oppositions. Look at these little guys. Here's the oppositions. You've got, oh, here's an opposition. Saturn again. What's up with the Saturn in this person's chart? And it's opposing their Scorpio rising. Oh, how do I behave in the world? Did I come off too nice, too harsh? How do I behave in the world? Was I too responsible? Was I lack of responsible? Did I take over the conversation? Should I be quiet or should I say more? Those types of things. And then you've got these trines, talents. So once again, trines are talents. Oppositions are growing through learning what you are, your opposite. Um, and then you've got the squares, which are the harshest part of the whole puzzle. Woo! This has been astrology part 2 of 2, understanding the stories that they tell, relationships through communication. I'm going to shut that down. And okay, stop sharing. So those are the 3 types, 3 out of 5 types of relationships. Next week we're gonna be talking about what a conjunct is. It's just basically 2 planets sitting in the same sign. But I'll show you what it looks like and what a sextile is and how they align or don't align. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for your patience with me because sometimes I trip over my own tongue when I am speaking astrology. I will end this class by saying, take astrology because it gives you something else to blame than yourself. With that, I'm signing off.